So the question, and there are a few things that we looked at blockchain and said, let's look at what's blockchain technology. Okay? First and foremost, it's a distributed database. Each party, component, or a member of a blockchain, they all have a consistent, updated version, and they have an access to the entire transaction history. Unlike a traditional database, this maintains history of all transactions. Okay, and it does it with peer-to-peer transmission. You can do it directly without any central authority. Okay, the biggest thing here with blockchain technology is that once you write something, it cannot be changed. So this is called immutability. So it is an updated, distributed, linked to previous transaction. It's a permanent ledger distributed to everybody else. Another interesting aspect of it is all the participants on a blockchain have visibility provided you have the right access. Okay? There are different types of blockchain. We'll get into that, but it is transparent. So this is why you saw recently this couple was arrested for $3 billion. They stole 120,000 bitcoins, which they tried to launder in many different ways, but the authorities were able to trace them because it is a public ledger. It is quite transparent. Okay? Now, a very interesting aspect of blockchain technology is the ability to do what they call smart contracts. Smart contracts are nothing more than simple, if this condition happen, then do this, else do something else. Okay? And it's a set of those programmable logic and arbitrary logic that can be automated, enforced based on prior agreements between people. So when you do supply chains, you look at purchasing, business-to-business transactions, these are all based on agreements and processes. You have the opportunity to look at all these boundaries between people and entities and look at, can I automate some of this process in a consistent fashion where everybody who agrees to that agrees to the common truth. Okay? So if you look at the technology a little bit deeper, let me go in the forward direction. Okay. The technology has been around for decades. Okay. The blockchain is simply a chain of blocks. The computer science parlance is a data structure called a linked list that is connecting one block to another block. Okay. It is completely open. What they do with it is a little bit different. Okay. What they do is they take some data from a block, they run it through what's known as a hash. It's a little computational process that is a little difficult to compute, but it's easy to verify that computation is correct. So they call it a hash. They include the hash of the previous block in it, and then create a list. So let's look at a chain of 3 blocks. I start off with what's called a genesis block. My previous hash is 0, is starting with a null pointer, and I have a hash for that block. I connect it to the second block. Now the second block has a hash to the previous block. I have a new hash, and the new hash is now connected to the third block, and I have a new hash for third block. This is what makes Bitcoin a technology that is very difficult to counterfeit. Because what happens is, once you get in and you have a block that is connected to another block for 5, 6 weeks, it's really difficult to make those changes afterwards and figure out where those changes happen. Okay? In fact, I was lucky to meet the inventor of blockchain technology, a gentleman called W. Scott Stern. He was supposed to co-author the blockchain book that we wrote. Unfortunately, he fell sick with COVID at the time. So when Scott and Stuart Haber worked for Belcore, and they published this paper in 1991, the key problem they tried to solve was immutability of timestamps. If you take a computer and you create a document on the computer, then you send it to your friend changes the clock on the computer to maybe a year older or some other date that is older. They make some changes to the document, And if they claim that document is the original document, you had no way to prove it is otherwise. So the solution they came up was, we will multiple copies of this document, we will hash them and we'll connect them together like this. And the more blocks you hash and connect, becomes really, really hard to reverse, especially when you bring in public key, private key encryption to make this thing happen. Satoshi Nakamoto used this idea in 2008 and added an incentive mechanism for people to create these blocks running, these networks running, to verify this. And those incentives were known as Bitcoin. And that's what's created this whole ecosystem today. Now, separation from crypto and Bitcoin, the underlying technology has value in many different ways.